What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to competitive decks. That's right, we are going to be covering all of the new and returning Pokemon in the Isle of Armor DLC, and today we're talking about Urshifu. Now, Urshifu, of course, being our new legendary for the DLC, and he's pretty hype, I have to say. His base stats are pretty good, his typing is pretty good with both forms, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about how to use him today, his possible weaknesses, where I think he's going to end up in the tiers, and also a little bit about VGC as well, because I think this is going to shake up the VGC metagame just a little bit. But before we get into that, make sure to leave a like on the video, make sure to subscribe if you are new. We just passed 100 subscribers, and so we are working towards 200, 300, 420, you name it. That's where we are headed. So thank you for the support, and I really appreciate you. So, Urshifu, right? It has two forms. We've got the single strike style and we've got the rapid strike style, both with different typings and different signature moves. They also have slightly different move sets, but they're basically mostly the same outside of a couple of things that aren't really super relevant, and their stats are the same. So let's look at their stats. 100 HP, good. 100 defense. Those are pretty good in tandem, I would have to say. Decently bulky, I like it. 60 special defense is really bad. So on the special side, it's really lacking as far as the bulk goes, which is unfortunate, but you know, it is what it is. This thing's got to have some kind of weakness. Base 97 speed is pretty good. You outspeed Mimikyu by 1 point, which is good. You know, you outspeed things like Excadrill as long as it's not in sand and other things like that, but it's not ridiculously fast, I guess. It's not fast enough to beat other things, and especially not in the Dynamax metagame of VGC, where we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But in singles, 97 isn't too bad, but it's also not the best in the world. So we're going to start with a choiced set. This will work with Choice Band or with Choice Scarf. And we've got Close Combat, Wicked Blow, which is the signature move of the single strike style. We're going to do 3 sets for single strike, 3 sets for rapid strike. And we've got U-Turn as well. U-Turn really helps this thing to be a little bit more versatile as far as switching out and gaining momentum every turn, which is good. And the last move is kind of up to you. There are a couple of other options here. I have Poison Jab here for notable fairies. There are a lot of notable fairies in the metagame right now. Togekiss, Primarina, Clefable even, and then Azumarill now has also been added. Those are just a few. I do see Azumarill staying in OU. It's just a very strong Pokemon, so it's going to be relevant. But with Choice Band, Poison Jab actually does a surprising amount to Clefable, which of course is super common right now. It actually OHKOs specially defensive Clefable 68% of the time on a choice banded Urshifu with Jolly, which is actually insane. That is an incredible amount of damage to do on a mon that normally would switch in on this. So I typically would say run Poison Jab just because of that, but we also have a couple of other options. Iron Head is also another option. You've got that flinch chance, which is pretty cool. Also allows you to hit fairies, but Poison Jab does have that poison chance, which I really like, as well as hitting the fairies. It allows you to hit grass types, which is good. It's not the best thing in the world necessarily, but it is great to be able to do that, to be able to poison things, and as you weaken those down, you'll be able to hit them even harder later and pick up those key knockouts. Wicked Blow is also a 2-hit KO on Toxapex and Slowbro, which is pretty interesting. With Slowbro coming back this generation, it's going to be actually pretty decent, I would say, with the addition of Teleport and Body Press. Both of those are going to be really nice for helping it out, which we talked about him a few days ago in competitive decks, so if you missed that, that'll be up in the iCard above. We talk about both Galarian and Cantonian Slowbro, so make sure you check that out if you haven't seen it yet. The other set I wanted to talk about as far as in singles is going to be a bulk up variant. So this is the only way that it really can effectively boost its attack, but it also boosts its defense, which is also good, especially if you're going to be using close combat where you're going to be lowering that defense back down. So it's going to help you to still take decent amount of hits on the physical side, while also boosting your attack. After one of them, obviously you're hitting as hard as you would with a choice band, and then after that you're hitting even harder. So same calcs would apply after one bulk up, and after that they just get kind of ridiculous. 130 attack is very strong, and so you have to respect it. So where does this thing struggle, right? Bulky waters really kill both Urshifus. It's kind of rough. You've got things like Toxapex, which if you can get set up, Wicked Blow can do a decent chunk to Toxapex. You've also got, what else? Seismitoad kind of gives you an issue as well, and Gastrodon as well. Some of those make it really difficult, and that's especially true for the other form, for the Rapid Strike style. This one can kind of break through them. If it has a +1, it can 2-hit KO a lot of them. But Rapid Strike is going to struggle with those a lot more, which, as I was saying way before this was released, I still think that this Dark Fighting one is going to be stronger, and I think that is turning out to be the case. So the final set I want to look at is a VGC set, and so we're running Life Orb with Detect, Close Combat, Wicked Blow, and Iron Head. Now, Iron Head, like I said, serves the same purpose as far as hitting fairies, especially things like Togekiss, which are running around a lot in the doubles metagame. You're going to see quite a bit of Primarina as well. It's not ridiculously common, but it's common. Azumarill, not so much. This also helps you against things like Whimsicott, but the biggest reason we're not running Poison Jab over Iron Head is that when you go for the Dynamax, Close Combat already gets weaker, but so does Poison Jab. It also gets weaker, which is kind of not the best. Iron Head gets stronger. So, and it's also good for being able to boost that physical defense. Obviously, if you're facing something like a Togekiss, you would want to be able to boost your special defense, but this thing doesn't get any good ground moves, so not really much you can do as far as that goes. So I tend to think that Iron Head is actually pretty good for coverage there, and it helps to serve that purpose of being able to deal with the fairies that are out there, as well as boosting the correct stats. All right, so now let's talk about Rapid Strike style. Now, like I was saying, I do think this one is a little bit less useful than the Single Strike style. Just the typing isn't as good, and the signature move isn't as good, and the coverage also not as good. So it's kind of rough as far as that goes, but we'll go through it anyway. So I also wanted to mention the ability Unseen Fist. It allows you to go through Protect, which is pretty cool. In singles, that's not really super important. In doubles, it's a little bit more important, but I also think I'm going to talk about VGC at the end as far as like a generalization of how this thing goes. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stick around to the end. But as far as singles goes, Choice Band, Choice Scarf are both good options with Close Combat, U-Turn. Surging Strikes is a 3-hit move, and it crits every time, which is pretty cool. But overall, it's going to be slightly weaker than the Single Strike Wicked Blow, and just the water typing isn't as good of a help. The dark typing is better because it hits ghosts. It helps you against things like Dragapult and that sort of thing, which this set can't really touch. And there's not really a whole lot this thing gets to hit that. We've got Zen Headbutt as our coverage move, and that's mainly for Toxapex and if Tentacruel comes back around, because I have a feeling it might. We've got Thunder Punch that helps cover for things like Primarina and Tentacruel and Toxapex. So I mean that helps cover that too. This helps. Zen Headbutt also helps to cover for fighting types. So, you've got your ways of dealing with it. And then you've also got Aqua Jet for priority. So I think that Aqua Jet's pretty good. I think that'd be really good with a Choice Band. It would really help you out to pick up those key KOs. But ultimately, I think that you're going to want to have Zen Headbutt. Otherwise, you get completely walled by several really, really common threats in the metagame. Alright, so I had to throw a meme in here somewhere, and it's actually not going to be the last thing we talk about, and this is Endure Weakness Policy. So, base 130 attack at +2 is going to be fantastic, and so if you are going to be hit with a super effective move, this is the way to go. You click Endure, and then you activate your Weakness Policy, then you have the Aqua Jet if you need the priority, and you have Close Combat and Surging Strikes if you are faster, which you're going to be faster than quite a few things. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty nice. I kind of like this set. It's not super good. I would say the Choice Banded or Choice Scarf set is going to be better, but I kind of like it. So yeah, try it out. It's pretty cool. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about VGC in general for both forms, and this form specifically, I guess. So this has a Gigantamax form, right? And it breaks Max Guard, which is insane. No other mon can do that. However, this thing is weak to Max Airstream, which already puts it on the back foot, right? Max Airstream is one of the most common moves in VGC right now, and being weak to it, and especially since most of them are hitting on the special side, you've got Kingdra that's coming back that's going to be hitting with hurricanes. You've got Pelipper that hits you with a hurricane. You've got all kinds of these special attackers, Togekiss especially as well. All of these guys that hit on the special side for super effective damage is really gonna hurt this thing. It does have Detect, which is great, but you're gonna have to have something on your team in order to deal with all of those mons, because otherwise this thing is going to be completely useless. It's not going to matter that you have that Gigantamax factor. It's just not going to make any difference at all. Even with the Poison Jab. Poison Jab does absolutely nothing to a Togekiss that is Dynamaxed. Even if you're Dynamaxed, you do like half. So it's rough. You've really got to have something on your team to help you deal with those. Otherwise, this thing just loses. So this thing isn't as OP as what everyone was saying. I'm not going to say that this thing was super OP in VGC. I think it's good in singles. I'm not going to say it's busted, though. I think the typing isn't as good as something like Melmetal that got banned. It doesn't hit as hard as Melmetal. I'm not so assured that this is going to get banned to Ubers. I think that there are plenty of ways to deal with it, plenty of ways to wall it. I don't think that it's necessarily going to be super oppressive in the metagame. So I could see it sticking around. I could see it going either way, but honestly, I could see it sticking around. I don't think it's as bad as what people think. People are just going to have to adapt to it. But we have Detect, Aqua Jet, Close Combat, and Surging Strikes on this set. Aqua Jet, of course, being to help pick up the key knockouts, which is pretty cool. And then Close Combat and Surging Strikes for the stab boost. Obviously, this would appreciate some rain, so you could run it on a rain team. The Surging Strikes is going to do a good amount of damage in rain, so make sure to keep that in mind as well. But overall, I don't think that this thing is going to be as strong as what people are saying it is, and I think it's just limited by 97 speed is just a little too slow, unfortunately. Base 130 attack is not going to be hitting as hard as what people think. Now, it hits hard, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be as bad in the metagame as what we think, and that special defense really hurts it, especially since a lot of your Max Airstream users are going to be special. A lot of your fairy types are going to be special. And so it's going to be tough for this thing, especially the Rapid Strike style, to really do super, super well. But yeah, that is going to be all for Urshifu. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys are excited to use this. I know the end is kind of me saying that it's not going to be as super oppressive. This thing's still strong. 130 attack is great, but I don't think it's going to be as game-changing as what a lot of people think. But make sure to leave me your comments down in the comments below, letting me know what you think about Urshifu, where you think it's going to fit into the metagame. Do you think it's going to stay OU? Do you think it's going to get banned? Let me know. I'd love to have that discussion with you down in the comments below. But so until next time, guys, stay safe out there, and we're going to have our first Wi-Fi battle with the DLC on Wednesday, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that as well. I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.